What happens when your smartphone goes missing? Surprisingly, a good chunk of them find their way back to their owners, but some researchers wanted to find out a little bit more. The answers they got are surprising. What people do with missing phones, scary stuff. Graham Williams, one of our tech guys, is here. How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
Good, thank you. So somebody wanted to study what happens to a missing phone.
Yeah.
Tell me about it.
So essentially this was Symantec, the people who make antivirus software and malware protection for both your computer and your phone. And they were looking to see what someone would do if they found your phone and they picked it up. The majority of people, I think, would probably take a look and try to see who the phone belongs to. But it turns out in the study that people are a little bit more curious. So one of the #1 things that people were doing were they were going into the camera portion of your phone, looking at your personal photographs. There was also an application on there called Remote Access, which you can use to log into your computer from a distance. And this was just a fake application, but something like 40% of the people who picked up this phone tried to access that app to see what it would do.
Curiosity or more nefarious?
I would say the majority of this is probably curiosity, but does speak to protecting your own personal data.
Sure.
Because these days, you lose your phone, it's not that big of a deal, right? It's a piece of hardware and it's important to you, but the important stuff is actually the data inside. So that's why we usually recommend having a good password on that phone, and that's one of the things that none of these phones would have on them, is a password protecting that data. But the idea that someone would go in and read your email, that someone would go in and read your text messages, that's a lot of personal data that you may not want to have exposed to just about anyone out there.
Well, the VPD have the new campaign out, Treat Your Phone Like Cash, on the SkyTrain, because it has banking data on it. It has personal financial details. It's just like cash in some ways. Are there passwords beyond passwords that you can use?
There are, yes. So essentially there are some, like on Android platforms, you can actually use apps to lock other apps. So that you can't have people getting into your banking applications. On iOS, the majority of banking apps, you can't log out of the app and then log back in. You'll have to actually put your password in a second time. One of the things that I personally would recommend is don't use a common password. 1234, 2468, 1379. These are very common things that people try to use with their phones, and they're
easy
not.
with one thumb, right?
Exactly. It's one of the reasons I think why the new Samsung Galaxy S5 and Apple's iPhone 5S have been very successful in getting people to use passcodes, because they're using that thumbprint reader now, which can be defeated, but not by somebody casually picking your phone up off a bench.
Yeah, that's all kind of brave new world when it comes to technology. Anything about this study surprise you?
To be honest, I was very surprised that people do kind of dig in. I know for myself personally, I found a lost phone at Granville Island last year. And the first thing I did was go into the contacts, find home, and call home. And the young lady came and picked up her phone about 20 minutes later because her mother had got in touch with her somehow and had come along. She showed me some ID and I gave her the phone back. I know personally I wouldn't want someone going through my pictures. There's nothing in there other than pictures of my cat, but I still wouldn't want those to be seen because he's just my special little guy.
No, sometimes curiosity gets the better of the cat when you end up looking. And then we've seen those stories with the cameras that get lost and people find the pictures and it's a wedding somewhere. I mean, those stories are out there. Maybe people just are really genuinely that curious.
That's entirely possible. That's one of the things that you can do is if you do lose your phone, the first thing that you can do is take a picture of your contact details and have it stored in the phone book. In the camera list. So when people are scrolling through, it says, if lost, please return to. Obviously, you've got things like Android Device Manager and Find My Phone on iPhone to get that phone back to you by sending a message to your phone itself.
Yeah, how hard is it to lose these things now? They have all these tracking software abilities.
The iPhone's actually done a pretty good job because with iOS 7, you can't unlock the phone. You can't wipe the phone and unlock it that way. It used to be if you found an iPhone, you could plug it in, reboot the software, and you had a brand new phone. Nowadays, you need that person's Apple ID password to get in. Android doesn't have anything similar to that right now. You can't lock it down at the base level, but I imagine Google's probably working on something like that. The last piece of the puzzle, really, though, is the stolen cell phone register list, which is something that is being rolled out in Canada and in the US. So if your phone is stolen, essentially it becomes a useless piece of junk to anyone who's stolen it because no cell phone provider will activate it anymore. They've got to go offshore to somewhere that doesn't have that list, which people will do. They'll ship those phones overseas, but it really makes the crime of opportunity a low opportunity.
Right, and there's the number you can star. I forget what the list of commands is, but you can find out what the phone's serial number is.
Yeah, so there's a series of codes that you can punch in, and it's dependent on the phone itself. but it will give you the IMEI and the ESN
IMEI, yeah.
for the telephone. You can also usually find those in your settings now. But basically, you can call up a cell phone provider if you're looking to buy a used phone, and they'll tell you whether or not that phone is eligible to be used on their network.
Okay, and then this all speaks to backing up the data on your phone, I suppose.
One of the most important things you can do. Google right now does that through their Google Play services. Apple does it through their iCloud service. And essentially, if you're not backing your phone up, if this goes, everything that's inside it is gone. So backing your phone up means that if you do have to get new hardware, you get a new phone. You get your old phone back inside it.
Okay, leave it there. Graham Williams, thank you for your time, as always.